Hey everybody, One Wisdom here. Going to try to wrap up basically all the current unboxings. This one has been waiting a long time. This of course is triple pack number 1. This one goes back a long time. I was actually simply debating whether or not I was going to pick up, the Series 2 figures or just the brand new ones like Pop Fizz. Obviously the Series 2, that would be referring to Whirlwind and Trigger Happy in this case. Initially, when I pre-ordered everything the night of the game, I thought that the triple pack with Igniter, Chill, and Zook was pretty solid. I actually like both Igniter and Zook. Decided I would do that just to get Chill, kind of save money in the long run, since those are 3 I would enjoy. And needless to say, GameStop.com actually misshipped. They sent me triple pack 1 that you see here instead of triple pack number 2. But that said, I have yet to have any trouble finding this at any store, Walmart, Target, Toys R Us, GameStop. Similarly online, you can find it pretty much anywhere you'd want to buy. Retail price for the triple packs this time around is $24.99. Maybe eventually the price will come down. I kind of feel like they should have stayed at $19 personally. That's just me. But whatever. That said, this triple pack, here's a good look at the characters. You get obviously Pop Fizz, brand new Skylander, Series 2 Whirlwind, and Series 2 Trigger Happy. As you can see here, Pop Fizz is incompatible with Skylander Spiral's Adventure. That is 100% correct. If you put him on the Portal of Power, it simply brings up a screen that the character can't be recognized or something to that effect. However, Whirlwind and Trigger Happy, as you can see here, have a green check mark in both. They will work both in Spiral's Adventure and Giants. That said, in Skylander Spiral's Adventure, you can expect both of them to be basically just like your, Series 1, or the ones you've already got, Whirlwind and Trigger Happy. Meaning that, they won't have the higher level cap and they won't have, their Wow Pow powers. That said, we'll go ahead and take a look. There's kind of a good view of the box art for you. Again, they kind of do that in some instances. The figures will actually work, but they're not fully functional. Kind of like Lightcore, Eruptor, and Drillbot will play in the game, but they have them X'd off. That's primarily just so you don't anticipate that the light bomb or flash bomb effect will be there. Since it was online at GameStop, you kind of get that little tag there. Coming along to the back side, here's our inset box art for Pop Fizz. Then Series 2 Whirlwind, note that is indicated there. And similarly, Series 2 pulls for Trigger Happy. That said, note down here in their promo encouraging you to buy this, you've got Series 2 new Wow Pow power. That is really the big draw with the Series 2. It's, in my opinion, a bigger deal than the Lightcore powers. And sadly, as I've mentioned many times, the Lightcores kind of got shafted, as in they don't have a Wow Pow. That said, your other draw with the Series 2 Skylanders is the increased level cap, of course being at 15. That said, we will go ahead now and see if we can't get in here. Alright, so if you notice a slightly different position here, it's just because my camera's died. Been having a lot of trouble with that here lately, in all honesty. That said, the triple packs is where you most notice this. Just the packaging is far superior this year, and by far superior I just mean it's easier to actually get into the triple pack. That said, we slide everything out here. Again, exercise caution with the Lightcore and the Giants. What fell out there was just our directions. We're not too concerned about that. But again, here's a good look at the pack once it's freed from the plastic. You don't have that glare on it. What I like to do again is just kind of break that loose and then come in and actually get the figures out, basically from the base when possible. That said, it is, some of them are, easy to get out, some are difficult, but, if you got a young kid or something, might help them out. Particularly, again, with the Lightcore. Didn't really have too much trouble there. Now we will come in. It's really hard to get the cards without either A, ruining the packaging if you plan to keep it, or B, kind of ruffling them a little bit. That said, you don't bend the corners, it's not too big of a deal. And last but not least, we have Trigger Happy. So set that aside if you want to keep it. Just exercise extra caution. We'll just go ahead. I guess we'll do trigger happy first. Let's go ahead. Of course, what you get the 3 figures, and then you get 3 trading cards, obviously, 1 for each character. Then you get their sticker sheet. You'll have the characters similar to their card sticker there, then their name. And with the name, you'll actually have a QR code and a web code for Skylanders Spyro's Universe. Trigger happy stats. Power or strength, 70 of 150. Defense or armor, 30 of 150. Agility or speed, 70 of 150. And luck, 100 of 150. Trigger happy story is, of course, a good one. Here's a good look at him. Obviously, this is a different pose than we saw last time. This is essentially his tertiary attack. Something I want to point out. If you did do the coin path, on the Wii where you use the B button, throw the giant gold coins, this actually has that same detail on the coins. Obviously it lacks it on the bottom, but again, it's something they didn't have to do, and you appreciate the little things. Just like I griped about Light Quarters Robot being lackluster, when they do something good, I also point that out. So, nonetheless, Trigger Happy has a very interesting story. He's probably one of the easiest characters to like. Obviously, anyone with a game is going to have experience with him since you had to get a starter pack last time. That said, Trigger Happy's slogan is "No gold, no glory." He's got a great laugh. Sadly, they did change his voice this time. I kind of prefer the original, but there again, you kind of see it looks like his eyes are following us. But Trigger Happy, that is basically his solution to every problem. No one exactly knows where he came from, who he is, his background, anything like that. The way the story goes is one day he just randomly showed up with his guns, which you kind of see there in the background, and saved a village from bandits. As that story was spreading, similar stories started to pop up. He basically, repeated the same act, saved people in need. His legend grew, and he basically joined Skylanders. He is well known throughout all of Skylands as a guy that is not afraid of taking on any bad guy, and basically someone that will do so without aiming. That said, the big draw here with Series 2 Trigger Happy, if you're asking yourself maybe, you really liked him, if you don't have Legendary Trigger Happy, you still basically trip over him at any Toys R Us. But if you don't like that color scheme or something, or you just think this is a much cooler pose, you can come in. Obviously, the Series 2, you can actually switch upgrade paths, which is very cool. The big draw, though, particularly for those that have Series 1s, is that they've got the Wow Pow power. So if you are a fan of Trigger Happy, obviously you're going to pick this up. He is available in single packs right now, too, but in this end, we have Series 1 Trigger Happy. He's got the tongue going. The tongue is much more subdued than the Series 2 pose, but again, you can distinguish the two giants. We'll have the orange base. Skylanders Spyro's Adventure will be the green base. There they are. We'll go ahead and grab Trigger Snappy here. He's one of the 2 sidekicks I picked up. In Giants, if you haven't watched the playthrough, I think it's like probably part 4, 5, or 6. I actually throw him on the portal and let him hop around, and in Giants they actually have a voice. That said, next up is Whirlwind. We'll kind of do this where we save the new one for last, but Whirlwind, interesting as it seems, she actually has a very huge following. It's kind of one of those characters you either like or you don't. That said, the ones that like her tend to be diehards. Before we get into her backstory, we'll actually cover her stats. Power or strength, 70 of 150. Defense, 40 of 150. Agility or speed, 65 of 150. And luck, 95 of 150. Again, what you get on the sticker sheet is obviously the sticker. And then with her name, you have a QR code. And similar, you'll find your code for Skylanders Spyro's Universe. Whirlwind story. Her slogan is Twists of Fury. Just a side note here. Her base attack, is very useful, when you kind of see like the blade witches in the Skylanders Spyro's Adventure that you can't quite reach. Like say Spyro can't do anything and Trigger Happy can't. The way she lobs, up there actually kind of has a projectile effect to it, but also a height. Comes in very handy. You saw that also in her heroic challenge. Again, kind of a side note, but that is a pretty dadgum good job in terms of her paint and the wingspan and everything. Nonetheless, the story, she is an air dragon with unicorn ancestry. If that sounds strange, it is. That's actually the problem in her youth. She never fit in with either the dragons or the unicorns. Dragons basically had an issue with her. They were kind of jealous of her beauty. Similarly, the unicorns were envious of her because she had the ability to fly. Couple that together and you've kind of got the party over here doesn't want you, party over here doesn't want you. And so Whirlwind, she found peace in Solstice and dark storm clouds where she learned to rein in her tempest fury. That said, the trolls, which is a common theme here, showed up. They started hunting both dragons and unicorns. Whirlwind was the first to help defend both of them. Essentially, that's where she earned her reputation. She was so furious, she basically created a rainbow after the tempest clouds. It was seen all over Skylands. Kind of helped her grow her fame and, more importantly, her legacy, where bad guys are always fearful of seeing the rainbow after the storm. But basically, she joined up with the Skylanders, helped protect everybody, dragons and unicorns included. Back over here is my Whirlwind. I never had trouble last year finding Whirlwind. This is actually the Target exclusive one. If you're a fanatic or a diehard or follow Skylanders, you've probably read how people, want or pay crazy money for Target exclusive Whirlwinds. Supposedly the paint job on the base is a little bit different. To me, it's not a big deal. I mean, if you're going to get into that extreme, hopefully you have money for groceries and gas, But that said, this one is the early on. The one I had trouble with ever finding was Drill Sergeant. I'm sure y'all remember that. But nonetheless, my local Target, I was able to pick her up. But again, green base would be Skylanders Spyro's Adventure. There's a good look at her. We'll kind of compare them here. I feel like this original Whirlwind, the base blue might be just like a shade or two darker. And I'm talking on like a really, strict scale. Overall, very similar. Her tail does seem a bit bigger in the giant pose, I will say that. Wings are just in a slightly different position, and of course her horn is obviously kind of taking on an upgraded form. Ears, I guess, are roughly recessed the same. Overall not a huge deal. But looks like here the joint is basically off of the chest, and then the neck and head are one. Whereas over on our original Series 1, it looks like it's the opposite way, where the head is the joint. Not that anyone really cares, but if you do, now you know. Nonetheless, Whirlwind, I have to say, if you actually, say you don't like her, if you do take the time to upgrade her, she's actually, pretty dadgum respectable. Next up, we have Pop Fizz. If you notice in the playthrough, I've used him a few times, but I've mainly used Punch Pop Fizz. He's the red version you see back there. Comes in the 3DS starter pack. Think of him as your Dark Spyro for Giants. Reason for that is I have him over, by the Portal of Power in the Wii. And Punch Pop Fizz has been over here waiting to get unboxed or returned for quite some time. Decided to keep him. That said, I do kind of prefer the blue. I think it looks pretty good on him. That said, the red isn't horrible either. Kind of gotten used to it after all this time. Pop Fizz, if you recall, when we kind of introduced Punch Pop Fizz, I kind of liken him to a Trigger Happy. Just kind of the crazy, upbeat, happy-go-lucky attitude, if you will. Before we get into his story, I guess we should cover his stats. Again, on the cards, these don't directly relate to the game, but they continue to send these and use these, so I'm going to cover them. His strength or power is 65 of 150. Defense or armor, 50 of 150. Agility or speed, 50 of 150. And luck, 105 of 150. That's quite high. Of course, behind that, you get his sticker. And then below that you have name, QR code, and right on this other side of my thumb you actually have the web code for Skylanders Spyro's Universe. But here he is, Pop Fizz. like I said, very interesting character. His slogan is the motion of the potion. Obviously, that's what he's doing here. He's about to drink some concoction. No one is quite sure who he was or where he came from before he became an alchemist. That includes Pop Fizz himself. After years of experiments, no one actually even knows his original color. What people do know is that he's crazy, he's a bit reckless, and his experiments have a tendency of not turning out too well. That said, people tend to just avoid him for their own well-being, and he has a heck of a time finding lab partners, as you might imagine. In order to kind of combat that, what he did in his infinite wisdom was make a potion which he thought would be a charm potion, and that is essentially your secondary move on the Wii, where he, turns into, what's the word they used? Berserker, I believe is what they called it. I'm pretty confident that's it. But story goes that, maybe that's what he intended. We'll go ahead, since we've got him here, compare Punch Pop Fizz. This is essentially the exact same figure. It's just a repaint. You've essentially got Fruit Punch Red, we'll call it, and then Pop Fizz Blue. But like I said, in game they kind of play the same. Obviously they will show up a little bit different, but overall, I mean, if you don't have Punch Pop Fizz, not a huge deal. Again, look at Punch Pop Fizz as your Dark Spyro. Shows up different in the game, but I mean, in all honesty, it's the same upgrades and everything. So interestingly enough, if you note there, kind of in the backpack, which is that light brown leather color on this Pop Fizz, actually has several vials, so that kind of goes along well with his character. Again, that's a detail I feel like they didn't have to do, and they did, so props for that. Punch Pop Fizz, should remain, at least here in the US, exclusive to the 3DS starter pack. Pop Fizz, however, is available in this triple pack number 1 along with Whirlwind and Trigger Happy, or in a single pack form. Same goes for Whirlwind, available in a single pack. Don't know that I mentioned that. But he will have a light core version. It's slightly different pose. Again, all that'll really have that he doesn't is a flash bomb effect. Not missing a whole lot. That said, if you want to hold out and not get Pop Fizz, spend the extra $2. Nothing wrong with that either. But again, this is triple pack number 1 featuring Pop Fizz, Whirlwind, and Trigger Happy. $24.99 is the retail price. Again, I picked mine up from GameStop.com inadvertently. It should have been triple pack number 2. They shipped it. As of right now, I've never gone into a store and not been able to find that. It's usually, one of the things that just sits there. That said, if you are planning on picking it up for yourself or a gift, Black Friday is when everything went to heck in a handbasket last year, so keep that in mind. Overall, I would have to say it's a pretty solid triple pack. I think most people will be drawn, obviously, to Pop Fizz. And then Trigger Happy is kind of a fan favorite, real hard not to like him. Whirlwind, while she may not be everyone's cup of tea, at least in terms of this triple pack, with her being in the mix with these two, if you do take the time to upgrade her, I don't think you'll be able to complain. And like I said, she does have a very loyal fan base. So Series 2 Trigger Happy, Series 2 Whirlwind, and the brand new character Pop Fizz, all in triple pack number 1 for $24.99. Pretty much find it anywhere, but please don't pay over retail. That's just crazy what you can get caught up into. But again, any questions, comments, feel free to ask here on YouTube for a much quicker response. I recommend you use the blog link at the top of the video description, or you can just head over there, oneofwisdom.blogspot.com. You can follow me on Twitter, like me on Facebook, whichever you prefer. I am also on Google+. As always, thanks for watching, and we will catch you next time.